Hi students, this is Mrs. King and I'm going to try to give you some homework help. So over here on the left hand side, I already pulled up our Google Form homework, which is 9-1 workbook page 55 1 through 6 and page 56 1 through 8. It says please complete the problems below. Show your work in your math spiral notebook. Number 1, rewrite the problem. Number 2, show your work. And number 3, box your answer. Now, before we even start working on our homework in our math spiral notebook, you always want to write down the entire homework heading and name date period on the top right corner. So the heading is going to be on the left side right here. So I'm going to write 9-1 workbook page 55, numbers 1 through 6, and workbook page 56, numbers 1 through 8. And then on the right side, I'm going to first write my full name, Caroline King, today's date. So depending on when you have math, the date could be the 17th or the 18th, okay? And your period or your block number, okay? All right, so now that we have the heading and name, date, period, or block, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so if I scroll down, I have the first part of the homework problems right here and places for you to enter the answers, all right? So the direction says, write each expression in exponential form and find its value. So it is asking for you to do 2 things per problem. I think the one that I'm going to do with you is number 3, the one that has fractions, okay? All right, so I'm gonna write number 3 and I'm going to copy down, oh, you know what, but actually, come to think of it, I'm going to write page 55 here because I know that soon, once I'm done with the 6 problems, I'm going to also be working on page 57 and they both start out with number 1, okay? So I'm going to write page 55, 1 through 6, skip a line, and then start number 3 here. So 3/5 times 3/5. All right. The first part of the homework says write the expression in exponential form. What that means is instead of writing the problem in repeated multiplication, this times this, it is asking for you to write it using this base, which is 3/5, and then using an exponent to show how many times it is being repeatedly multiplied, okay? So since the base is 3/5, I'm going to write 3/5, and because it is being repeated twice, it is raised to the second power. Now I'm gonna do something wrong. So if I write raised to the second power, this is actually incorrect. Hopefully your teachers already taught you and you guys remember, if you're writing a fraction using in an exponential form, you must have the parentheses around the fraction. Otherwise, it is incorrect. So I'm going to put parentheses around the fraction and the exponent goes outside of the parentheses. All right, once I'm done, I'm going to nicely box the answer. But notice that's not the end of the problem because it also says find its value. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy down the problem again. And I need to do now this time 3/5 times 3/5 to find the actual value. So multiplying regular fractions like this is very easy. You simply multiply the numerators and then you multiply the denominators and simplify if it is necessary. So here we go. 3 times 3 is 9 over 5 times 5 is 25. And since there's nothing to simplify, that's the answer, and I nicely box that as well. Okay, so then how do I enter these on my Google form? So I'm gonna go down to number 3, and the first thing that I'm going to answer is the parentheses 3/5 to the second power. So the 3/5, so I'm just gonna do it in order. Parentheses 3/5, close the parentheses, and then we cannot do exponent symbol, like an exponent on Google form, but there is a symbol that represents the exponent. It is called a caret, and that symbol looks like this. And this is right above number 6 on your keyboard. So I'm going to do Shift and 6, and you see that little symbol. That means the number is now being raised to second power. So that's the first part of the homework. Now I'm going to do a comma, space, and I'm going to give the second answer, which is 9/25. So again, 9/25. And that is how I'm going to show both of the answers, okay? Now, before moving on to the next part of the homework, Google Form does not let me move on to the next part of the homework until I've answered everything here. So then I'm just gonna put some random answers. So I'm just gonna put 1, but that's not the right answer, okay? Okay. All right, now let's see if it'll let me move on. Okay, it did. So now we are on page 56, numbers 1 through 8. Page 56 has 2 parts. It's no longer asking for you to solve do 2 different things per problem. Numbers 1 through 4 says write the expression in exponential form. That's all you need to do. And then 5 through 8 says simplify. Okay, we'll get to that when we actually do the problem. So let's say you did other problems. When you move on to the next problem, rather than solving to the right-hand side, I want you to always solve going down. When you're going down, I want you to skip a line and put the next problem, show your work, skip a line, do the next problem, so on and so forth. When you're done with this column, now if you want to, you can move on to the next column to the right, and then you can continue working on the problems, okay? And then you can also use, of course, the next page, okay? So now I'm going to write page 56, numbers 1 through 8. And from 1 through 4, I think the one that I'm going to go over is number 4, okay? Which is, I'm going to write number 4, parentheses 4/10, and they want you to write that in an exponential form, okay? This is actually a very simple problem. First of all, since it is a decimal, not a fraction, this parentheses was actually optional. Whether you have those around the decimal number or not doesn't change the problem. Anyways, well, let's see. I can see the base is 4/10. Now, how many times is it being repeatedly multiplied? Just once. So it is really 4/10 to the first power, or since it is just 4/10 to the first power, you can even just skip the first power and just write 4/10, and that would be correct as well, okay? So here you go, all right? So then now I'm gonna go to number 4, and the way I'm going to put in the answer is this. 0.4. I can just leave it alone. Or if you want to, you can do the caret and do to the first power. It's really up to you. Okay? All right. I'm going to do one more. from number 5. Number 5 through 8 says simplify. Simplify means the same as solve, evaluate, or find the value. They all mean the same thing. I think the one that I'm going to do is number 6 because it has decimal multiplication. Okay. All right. So, and number 6 is going to be, I can tell some, okay, a lot of multiplication there. Okay. All right. So here's the problem. 1 and 2 tenths to the 5th power. Okay. Equals. Now, later when I'm done solving it, I'm going to write the answer here nicely and box it, but you're not going to show work here, okay? Well, actually, I am going to first expand 1 and 2 tenths to the 5th power. So what that means is, this means you're really doing 1 and 2 tenths times 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 1 and 2 tenths. All right? So this is what I'm going to do. You have now at this point 2 options. You can do 1 and 2 tenths times 1 and 2 tenths. Once you get an answer, multiply that by 1 and 2 tenths. Get an answer, multiply by 1 and 2 tenths. Get an answer, and then multiply that by 1 and 2 tenths. I'm not going to solve it that way. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to first multiply my first 2 bases. So 1 and 2 tenths times 1 and 2 tenths. 1 and 2 tenths times 1 and 2 tenths. And if your multiplication is not very good, so watch, okay? 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 1 is 2. Now, you need to have a placeholder here because now you're done with this one's digit. You can put a 0, which I'm sure is what a lot of you did. I like to put X, but that's just me, okay? Now I'm going to multiply the next digit. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. Add them up. 4, 4, 1. And then the next step is for you to count how many decimal places there were. So, if you take a look at the problem, you have 1, 2 decimal places. So that means I'm going to move to the left and put the decimal place 2 places to the left. Okay? So here I have 1 and 44 hundredths. So now instead of multiplying that by 1 and 2 tenths, what I'm going to do is I'm going to group the next 2 numbers together because then I know already that it is 1 and 44 hundredths. So I'm going to copy that down. And since I still need to multiply, I'm going to put multiplication symbol. And I still have this one to bring down, so times 1 and 2 tenths. Now, I am going to do 1 and 44 hundredths times 1 and 44 hundredths. Some of you might be thinking, oh no, this is too challenging. It's actually not true. Those numbers are not too bad. So I'm now going to show the work here because I want to be able to keep going down and show nice work here. So I'm going to do it on the side. 1 and 44 hundredths times 1 and 44 hundredths. First, my very first digit here. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 4 is 16 plus 1, so that's 17. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1, so that's 5. Again, I like to do X for placeholder, but you don't have to. I'm going to erase these that I used. Now I'm going to do this middle digit here. 4 times 4, 16. 4 times 4, 16, but plus 1, so 17. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1, so 5. Now I'm going to X this out, and this time I'm going to put 2 X's for the placeholders. And now I'm going to multiply the last digit. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 4 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. Once I'm done multiplying all of those, I add them up. 6, 7 plus 6 is 13. 1 plus 5 is 6. Plus 7 is 13. Plus 4 is 17. And then 1 plus 5 plus 4 is 10. And then 1 plus 1 is 2. Now, count the total number of decimal places again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So, this 1 and 44 hundredths times 1 and 44 hundredths is 2 and, let's see, 736 ten thousandths. 2.0736. You're not done. Times, you still need to multiply by the last 1 and 2 tenths. So this is my last step. I'm going to show the work right here. 2.0736 times 1 and 2 tenths. And make sure that you're lining up the numbers nicely. I don't think I did a very good job here. I wish this one is a little bit more towards the right, okay? But I'm not going to rewrite it. Okay, my first digit. 2 times 6 is 12. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1, 7. 2 times 7 is 14. 2 times 0 is 0 plus 1, so 1. 2 times 2 is 4. Now I'm going to X out and multiply all of these, and these are all multiplied by 1. Not hard. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 7, 7. 1 times 0, 0. And 1 times 2, 2. Add them up. I'm almost done. 2. This is 13. 5 plus 3 is 8. 1 plus 7 is 8. 4 and 2. And almost done. Count the number of decimal places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Move that many times to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So your final answer is 2 and 48,832 hundred thousandths. Yep, 100,000. And nicely box that answer. Okay, now I'm going to go to number 6. And, oh, wow, that was a freebie. And yay, I got that right. Okay, but I hope before looking at that, you solved the problem. Okay, I want to say I knew it, but then I honestly I didn't. Okay, but hopefully you guys watched how I multiplied some of these long multiplications, and hopefully it helped. All right, so show your work nicely. I would say you should probably use a pencil and save your work always on your spiral notebooks, okay? And that is it for today. Thank you. Bye.